Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben's podcast. I hope that you're enjoying the podcast so far. Remember to click that subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to so that you get notified when new podcasts come up. And remember to follow me on all my social media channels, Gardening with Ben on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. And in the description is a link to my merchandise shop where we sell some fantastic gardening t-shirts and hoodies for you to wear down in the garden or when you're out and about. So grab yourself a brew, sit back, relax and enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, and welcome to our latest podcast episode. I just want to say that if you've not listened to my previous two episodes talking about gardening and my mental health, please do have a listen to those before you listen to this one, as it's quite an important subject to me and I have been struggling a lot, which you'll find out in them episodes. But I just want to reiterate that I want to thank so many people for all the messages that I have received. It's amazing. Just everybody who's listened to this podcast and that follows me. I've had so many messages of support telling me not to apologise for not getting back to people or posting content, and it means the world, as I do love doing this. I love sharing content on Facebook and Instagram, and obviously I've been doing this for a bit now, doing the podcasts, and it's quite nervous doing the podcasts, but I am enjoying doing it, and from the followers and the listens that I do get, it obviously goes down well. So make sure you do give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you are listening, and please do leave comments on my podcasts, as it helps boost it so other people can see it. And also I do love to read the comments on the podcasts, as I don't get many, to be honest, so I hope you do enjoy listening to them. So please do leave comments on each episode. So in today's podcast we're going to be talking about what jobs you can do in the garden in August to keep it looking its best. So first off, we're going to talk about what jobs to do in the vegetable garden, as there's still quite a lot of work to be doing in the vegetable garden, keeping it ticking over, getting that produce sorted and making sure that you get the best harvest possible as you can from them. So first off, we're going to be talking about courgettes. Courgettes are quite funny. I do know lots of people that try courgettes for the first time, growing them, and they plant absolutely loads of plants, they plant all the seeds, and they get inundated with the courgettes. And they end up giving so many away to family and friends, and they're sick to the sight of them by the time that it comes to the end of the year. But everybody does love growing courgettes, and if you do want to make a recipe out of courgettes, try making courgette cake. It's absolutely delicious. If you can have carrot in a cake, you can have pumpkin in a cake, why can't you have courgettes in a cake? So try that one out. So make sure you do keep picking these on a regular basis when they're smaller, so that they do keep producing more courgettes. And obviously you can freeze them, you can dice them up and freeze them, and they are expensive to purchase in shops, courgettes, so you are saving a lot of money and you can use them for a lot of meals. So make sure you do keep picking them on a regular basis. Don't necessarily let them grow big, even though I am letting one grow big just to see how big I can actually grow it to. Next up is cucumber plants. Now, as they are obviously producing fruit around now, make sure you feed them on a weekly basis, just so that it gives them the extra nutrients, because the compost will be draining of the nutrients now. So you do need to keep feeding them on a weekly basis so that they keep pumping out those cucumbers, should I say, not courgettes. So you want to keep producing them fruits right up until September, or sometimes even October if it's nice weather. If you've got herb plants, you can start drying them out now to save over winter, so that you can use them over the winter periods and if you cut them back now you may get some more herbs growing, but do start drying them out ready to be saved over winter now. Again, with pepper plants, a bit like cucumber plants, keep feeding them on a weekly basis so that you do get the best potential peppers out of the plants. If you're growing potatoes, you can start to harvest your main potatoes now and your second earlies. I tend to know that they're ready, the plants, when the plants start dying off and going yellow. That means the potatoes are usually ready for picking. If you're growing runner beans, when they get to the top of the canes, nip them off at the top of the canes. Don't let them grow any taller. If you nip them off, they grow more bushier and they will produce more runner beans as they bush out, and it encourages more flowers and more runner beans to grow on the plant. If you're growing squashes like pumpkins and stuff like that, and you're wanting to grow a decent sized ones, only have about 3 squash growing on the plant. Cut off any others that are growing if you want to concentrate on growing them 3, because it'll put all its energy into growing them ones. And make sure that they're either off the ground or on a piece of slate so that they're not touching the soil, because that will rot them, and you don't want to rot your squash, not if you're growing a nice sized ones. If you're growing sweet corn, you can also feed this on a weekly basis with tomato feed, and it will encourage the corns on the plant to grow bigger and better. When you know that sweet corn is ready, it's usually around September time, but the tassels on the end will change from white and they'll go brown, and also you can pierce the corn in the cob and it should be a milky colour, not clear. That usually shows a sign of it being ready. And tomato plants, continue to pinch them out, keep taking them side shoots off if they are that variety. And also a lot of people do take the leaves off them to encourage the sunlight now to get to the tomatoes to help ripen them. As the days are becoming darker, I've noticed that myself, it's getting darker earlier and it's darker in the morning, so make sure you strip off some of those leaves so that the sun can get to the tomatoes to help ripen them, and do remember to keep feeding them as well. So that is all the tips on what you should do in the vegetable garden. So let's find out what we need to be doing in the fruit garden this month, as some of the fruit will be starting to finish now, so you need to start getting those ready for next year. But first off is blackberries, and blackberry season is upon us. If you go into the shops, blackberries are so expensive to purchase from the shops. It's like £2-3 just for a small punnet of blackberries. So what you need to do is go out and harvest as many as you can. Keep doing this on a daily basis. Stick them in the freezer and freeze them for when you need them, and you can be eating them all winter if you freeze absolutely many. And a lot of the times you can just get out a few and stick them in your yogurt while they're frozen, and they'll defrost in the yogurt, and they absolutely taste delicious. They'll still taste the same. So make sure you pick as many blackberries as you can, but obviously wash them. People tend to wash them, lay them on a baking tray and then freeze them, because if you freeze them while they're still wet and you put them in a bag together, they'll just freeze in a solid block. So you need to freeze them in a baking tray, and then once they're frozen, then you can remove them and put them in a bag so that they're more easier together. Black currants, these will have finished fruiting probably by now, so what you need to do, you need to prune back the stems which have fruited this year. If the stems didn't fruit, don't prune them back, as they will fruit next year, but prune back the stems which have fruited. Your fruit trees, you're going to be picking absolutely loads of fruit this month. I'm just in the process of starting to pick my plums from my plum tree, which is a Victoria plum tree, and you're going to be picking so much fruit this year. Just keep up to date with picking them, make sure you don't lose any by dropping them to the floor, but yep, pick as many as you can. Raspberries, this month you'll be picking autumn raspberries. Your summer raspberries probably will have finished off by now. If your summer raspberries are finished, these can be pruned back to the ground, the ones that have fruited again. All the new shoots what grew this year, don't prune them back, as they will fruit next year. Summer raspberries fruit on the canes which grew the year before, whereas autumn raspberries, they can be cut back straight to the ground after they finish fruiting, and they will produce new canes next year to fruit on. It's a bit confusing, so make sure you know which fruits, which varieties are which. Try and label them up somehow, but yeah, that is the key for raspberries. And again, keep freezing them like you do with blackberries, and you can be eating them all winter and saving yourself a lot of money. Strawberry plants, they will be sending out all the runners this month to create new plants. Make sure you pot them up. If you don't want the strawberry plants, still pot them up and give them away to friends, families, neighbours. Encourage them to grow strawberries, and who wouldn't love to grow their own delicious strawberries in the garden? So that is all the fruit garden tips for this month. And then for the flower garden, which is not an area that I'm well known about, but we've got the tips here to tell you what to do. If you're growing flowers in bedding plants, make sure you keep deheading them, which will encourage them to keep growing through the they'll keep flowering right through September up to October when the cold appears. So yeah, also keep deheading them. And quite a few garden centres now are getting in their autumn bedding, so go and have a look and see what autumn bedding you can plant. Climbing roses, if they finish flowering, prune them back this month, but only once they've finished flowering. Don't prune them back while the flowers are still on, or you'll lose all the colour from your garden. So wait until they've finished flowering and then prune them back. And by the sound of it, I've got an ice cream van nearby, but I'm going to carry on. I'm not going to rush and get an ice cream, so don't worry about that. Fuchsias, if you're growing any fuchsias, take some cuttings from them this year, start some new plants off, get more colour growing in your garden. Fuchsias are easy to grow, and they do often take root quite easy, so take some cuttings from them, fill the gaps in your garden. Why not grow some and give them away to friends and family? Also got the police after me now. Herbs, now is the time to be cutting back your herbs, and as I mentioned before, start drying them out. So cut them back, you'll encourage some fresh new growth this month, and they'll keep harvested until the first frosts come. So get as much out of your herbs as possible and encourage some more to grow. Lavender plants, when the flowers finish on the plants, they can be cut back. This keeps the plants from getting woody, and it keeps them more compact rather than a dead mess and scraggly bits all over the place. Keep them looking neat and tidy. And also, why not try taking some lavender cuttings as well. Lilies, these will be dying off now if you are growing lilies, but make sure you keep deheading them as the flowers die off, but make sure you wear gloves as the pollen does stain, so make sure you take them flowers off and just be careful of the pollen. Now, why not try and grow a wildflower area in your garden? Wildflower attracts bees, flies, insects, ladybirds, you name it, they will come and they will help pollinate your fruit and vegetables. Without the insects, we wouldn't be able to eat the fresh, beautiful vegetables and fruit that we grow. So why not grow a wildflower area? And what you can do is scatter some wildflower seeds this month, and they will encourage the bees to come next year. They will grow into beautiful flowers for next year. So scatter some this month and see the delights of them. So that's been your podcast for today. It's been quite a long one today. Obviously there's lots of tips in there for you to listen to. I am thinking about doing these as a sheet to sell on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. So if you are interested in that, let me know, as you can always keep listening back to the episode obviously, but if you've got it on a sheet there for you, to either download or I'll post out, it'll be a lot easier. So yeah, let me know about that. And obviously, if you do enjoy supporting me, make sure you click that link for my shop in the description, and you'll be able to see all the t-shirts that I have on sale and hoodies, as it's starting to get a bit cooler now. Hopefully this heat wave will last this week, but it's starting to get a bit cooler, so we've got some nice t-shirts and hoodies in there for you to have a look at. And obviously, please do leave a review if you've not left one already, and click that subscribe button. So as always, keep smiling and keep gardening. Thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope you've enjoyed gardening with Ben. Remember to do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the podcasts what are launched, and check out the link in my bio to my fantastic shop selling some fantastic t-shirts and hoodies for you to wear down at the allotment. And you can also get a Gardening with Ben mug, so feel free to check it out, and remember, keep gardening.